I'm actually running low on TTRPGs to review. That's kind of weird. I know I'm not running out of TTRPGs, I'm just running out of ones on my list. I'll need to find some more.
You could review spin-offs or settings games, right? Like how you did the system for Savage Worlds, then that Rune whatever game, right?
Yeah, I could, but I'd be reviewing the setting, and that's just a whole other thing right there. Like, what appeals to me isn't going to appeal to someone else. I'm indifferent to fantasy because they all feel the same to me. But I love sci-fi because it opens up my own creative brain to allow just about anything. But someone else could look at the same thing and see the very opposite. There's just a lot of issues with it, and when I bring up my tastes in a video, I have to try my best not to let it affect my score. But I'll admit, when I enjoy a system, I do tend to give it a higher score despite the fact that I shouldn't.
So what do you plan on doing then?
Well, I'm gonna ask the two people that'll watch the video that aren't me, plant a comment and give us recommendation for a TTRPG to review. I'm thinking I'll expand into other subjects too. I've done movies, maybe I'll go into music as well. I did go to school for that. May as well use the training, right?
So what do you plan on doing this week?
I guess I could try that setting review. Big eyes, small mouth, maybe?
Didn't you say you hate anime?
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm not a cartoon guy. Actually, my buddy has been making me binge watch Kamen Rider. Couple of options. But none of them are really worth spending $15 for each! Oh, and they're made by the same company too, of course. Bah, I'll figure it out. Big Eyes, Small Mouth. By the same soul that made the Sailor Moon RPG I reviewed some weeks ago. It uses essentially the exact same system, the Tri-Stat system, so a lot of it is pretty well the same. Positive thing already that the publisher offers a PDF for the 4th edition version, a compressed version of that core rulebook. White Wolf is involved as well somehow. I don't know why or how. Their name is on the back cover, but not their logo. So I don't know. Now let's talk about some changes. First off, the points cost and creation style. This game takes a lot more points than Sailor Moon did, and you'll be spending these points to increase stats, gain abilities, and such. This game also has templates. You can play specific sort of trope from your favorite Eastern cartoon, or completely make up your own type of character. The book says there are 50 templates, but I've been looking through this free version of the game, and it doesn't have everything available. There's only like 2 or 3 templates here. Now this game does another thing different with the points. Sailor Moon had a minimum and maximum for every stat, but this game outright says that you don't need to follow that, so long as your GM allows it. So theoretically, you could play a man with no soul. Having a 4 in any stat is considered average, while below or above is better or worse. The short PDF does say that the game is designed to have no more than 12 in any stat, and if you want to go above, ask your GM. It also asks that nothing start below 3 or above 10, just to keep things balanced. Cost is a simple equation that the book seems to completely avoid actually saying. What's the number you want in that stat? Double it. That's how many points it costs. So every time you bring a stat up a single point, it costs 2 points. Personally, I would have made that different with the assumption that your character will get more points by solving encounters. I would have made each boost cost the amount double to the number it's going to. So if you were going from 7 to rank 8, it cost you 16 points. You know what I mean? But next we get to the attributes. If you remember the Sailor Moon game, you know that these are essentially your abilities. In this PDF, there's a long list of attributes that have the name, a cost or costs, and a short description of what they do. The descriptions could be better though, but could be worse too. It all depends. For example, in this PDF, the attribute item costs half, and in the description it says, create a useful tool, vehicle, mecha, or weapon, character points cost is halved, parentheses, item doesn't have levels, parentheses. So, half of what though? I'm certain the full book actually explains that further, but with this PDF, I ain't got a clue. Though customized attributes might have some answers, I hope, but I doubt, honestly. Apparently for a cost, you can add an enhancement or limiters to abilities. For a cost of 1, you can add a single enhancement. And to reduce the cost by 1, you can add a single limiter to a minimum and maximum. Minimum is that nothing can be dropped below its base price, but the maximum can't be brought up higher than the base price times 10. But then we've got defects. Each defect gives you more points to spend. The list in this PDF seems relatively short in comparison to the attributes, but it's still a hefty list. Some of these just bring in a dude to screw things up every now and then. Others give you a negative against certain things, and some still reduce your damage output or increase your damage taken. All sorts of options. Of course, what if you don't use all your points? Well, there's 3 options. 1. Spend them by going back to previous steps to figure it out. This is likely the option you'll take. 2. Save those points for future investments. This ain't bad. If you don't know now, you might know in the future. Or 3. Give them to your GM and tell him to give you a secret ability that'll reveal itself when the story needs it. I like that third option the most, but it runs a huge risk of being forgotten about, as you as the player don't know it, and the GM must keep track of it and figure out when to bring it up. Big risk, big reward. Unless the GM is an idiot and gives you something like a tail that grows when the moon is 3/4 exactly, or something stupid. Now we get into derived values, which are the exact same as the Sailor Moon, except for one thing. The defensive combat value does not have the -2 to it, and some attributes and defects can add or subtract to these individually. Now, I could go a little bit into talking about actions and combat and such, but this game works almost the exact same as Sailor Moon. It's a versus roll system, so you'll be rolling against your target and the same with them in order to see who wins and does what. In the case of skill checks or environmental actions, there's various DCs and a whole table for it too. But I can't really change the score for this from the Sailor Moon game. It's essentially the exact same, but I genuinely like this one just a little bit better. It's still getting updated, believe it or not, and it's the same guy writing the game too. So I'm glad he found success. Hey, Darren, how close are we to getting out of the webway exactly?
Honestly, a week or two at most.
Oh, cool. Guess it's time for me to say my exit line then. Shove off.